Okay, I'm here. We're 3/4 of the way through the session. This is Louie, and Louie does not understand the concept of boundaries. His guardians actually have more rules than pretty much 95% of all my clients. They had one rule. Most of my clients had none. And so we talked about enforcing rules because that helps us practice acting like a leader. Now the grandkids have come over, and the grandkids are really not a huge fan of his because he has a spazzy behavior. He knocks them down, he jumps up on them, he throws temper tantrums, does demand barking like that. Now, a couple little things. If a dog jumps up on us or paws at us and we pet it or push it off, that's kind of rewarding what the dog wants. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an invisible boundary and show you how to enforce it. So a lot of us, we put our dog in the worst case scenario and then the hardest case scenario, and then we expect them to perform, and we don't even tell them how to behave. So that's setting them up to fail. So a couple things. Before you're doing this, we could do, and I talked about this off camera with the guardians, is we can exercise him before company comes over. To put him in, and we talked off camera about how to exercise and do that. Message me if you can't remember, we'll go through that. But basically, I'm using a leash now. We're normally not going to use a leash, but we're using a leash now just for demonstration purposes. So you guys can see it in the shot. So basically what I want to do is recreate the activity that he fails in, which is not going in there, or jumping up and taking the kids' food. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have, Grandma's going to serve the kids a little snack. And as soon as they start snacking, I'm going to take the leash off of him. And I'm going to use the escalating consequences that I use to disagree with unwanted behaviors to keep him from going into the kitchen. Now, a quick summary, I'm not going to go through all of them, because you have to hire me for this. But basically, standing up is your I mean business position for a dog, and your authority goes whatever direction your belly button is pointing. Right now, my authority is pointing directly there. So when the dog's marching towards me, I'm going to keep him in front of me at all times. And when I take a step back, I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to pause. That's like putting a period at the end of each sentence, the pause. If I turn around, if my back is over there, which I'm going to be in a second, I turn and I face the kids, now my authority is pointing towards the kids, he's going to run right behind me. So first we're going to walk away from him step by step. And if he starts to come forward, I'm going to rush at him quickly, and that provoked a response, to tell him I disagree. I don't want you to go in the kitchen, or in the dining room in this case. And it's going to be a back and forth. I'm going to look like I'm waltzing. I actually kind of do look like I'm waltzing with this. But you're going to do back and forth, and you have to outlast your dog. It's one of the dirty secrets of dog behavior. Every time you let your dog win, you train your dog to be more defiant. All right, just to make sure he's not counter shirt, I'm going to move this back here. And then I'm going to Grandma's going to go ahead and serve the kids their snack food. And the kids are just going to eat them like they normally do, and they're not going to have to worry about the dog coming in there. Now, normally when there's food present, this would be even harder. This would be even harder than, well, I just realized I forgot something. So one of the things that we do when we do these sort of things is we practice. When we practice everything. We practice, on cadavers when we're in medical school. We practice mock trials if we're an attorney or whatever it is. So in order to practice this, what I usually do, and I'm going to have you go ahead and microwave that for about 20 seconds. I normally would recommend bacon or Canadian bacon or roast beef, but in this case we're just using roast salami because that's what we have available. So one of the rules is the dog should not be allowed in the kitchen when we're preparing food. What I usually do to enforce it, I'm going to show you how to enforce it in a sec, but what I would do is I would microwave a piece of bacon and then put it on the counter, and the dog is like, boy, it sure smells like they're cooking. And I'm going to make the dog leave the room first, then I'm going to cook the bacon. Then we're going to put it out on the work island right there. And to a dog, it's going to smell, and then we're going to pretend like we're cooking. We're going to open up drawers, grab stuff out, grab stuff out of the fridge, do all this stuff. To the dog, it's going to try to come in the kitchen because it thinks that we're cooking. Well, we're not. And we have 3 seconds to correct or reward a dog. So if we're actually stirring and the dog crossed the boundaries, like, oh, and then we go and chase him out, and we miss that 3-second opportunity, plus we're focused here. So if you microwave it, it smells like bacon, and you really want a strong smell, and that gives the dog to want to come in, and you enforce this boundary over and over again until the dog sits or lies down. Then you do your actual cooking. You help the dog warm up, and then you teach it how to practice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take him off, and I might have to move quickly at first. I'm going to have the camera move over here. Now get my authority pointing this direction. Now my goal is to be on the other side of this line with him over here. Now I'm going to outlast the dog, and he's photobombing our camera person because she's one of his favorite people. And you see how that energy went up. So I apologize for the shaky camera. It's not a camera person. So I can move a little bit further away. Now Louie's going to smell all the kids' jackets. We don't have to film it. We're just going to narrate a little bit. And so he's kind of looking for sniffs. They may have some Lucky Charms in their pockets or whatever it is. I'm going to try to get me some of those. Any attention from him towards that? Now I can get his attention when he looks at me. Yeah, stick it all the way in if you can. Grandpa, can you help me on that side? So you're going to walk towards him and walk and go all the way underneath. Yes. Now, a quick little tip: if we have something like this, we might get a cardboard box or something we can move over temporarily to make this more of a choke point. All right. Here. Is his tail there? There we go. I'll come and grab him this way. Normally, you wouldn't want him to cross the threshold. Here, buddy. Yes. Come here. Yes, I got you. There we go. There we go. Now, I was trying to show off a little bit by getting farther back there, but I allowed him to come through. So if he does that, again, we might we can even do something like this to make it more of a choke point. And then if he was here, I'd take a step backwards and I'm going to pause. And I'll show you when he comes back here. Sits or lays down, I take a big step backwards when he sits or lays. Don't ever step back. Don't ever step back if he's barking or charging you. If he sits like he just did, I take a step backwards. And I want to be back here. I don't want to be there blocking it. He has to respect my authority and stay back there even though I'm not standing there. Now he's going to try over and over and over again. Outlasting your dogs is one of the dirty secrets of dog behavior. Now, when we're actually eating a meal and everybody's at the table, now we're distracted. He's going to use that opportunity to come and he's going to hide under the table like he did before. So this is where we microwave the bacon and we put it here, or the roast beef, and we cut it, and we set the table, and we put it on everybody's plate, but we're not actually cooking. And if he comes, now I'm sitting here and he comes in, I rush him and I stop enforcing at this point a boundary. This is how we establish an invisible line. Then I take a step backwards and pause. If he comes forward, I rush towards him. I normally wouldn't cross the line. I rush towards him and stop. Now, if I'm, let's say, and I step and I pause between each step. Let's say I'm here and he crosses the line. I rush at him and I get here and he crosses it and I can stop here. I don't always have to go here. I just rush at him. This is like a game of tag, which you guys I'm sure have played. So that is base. Anytime he crosses this threshold, he's gettable. I'm going to rush at him. And at first he's going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually he'll sit or lie down there. When he does, then we can actually put this stuff away and serve us the actual meal. And now we help him practice not crossing the threshold. Now once he's done this enough, he will just come and sit or lie down here or over there. As you see right now, he's not even trying to. He's more interested in trying to get the camera. And just ignore that. I know it's hard. But if you correct the dog, that's even if you're yelling at the dog, that's okay. Make sure I don't set myself on fire. See the candle back here. So now he's laid down. Now he put up a big fight. But normally, kids, what would he be doing if I wasn't here? Jumping up and probably trying to steal your food, right? Probably don't eat very much around him. He probably gets put away when we feed him, when we eat, right? Yeah. Or do we? Or do you just not eat over here very often?
He's pretty good about not taking the food.
So he doesn't have any practice doing this because we haven't practiced and set him up. We have to practice everything in life. These guys are studying in school. They're practicing multiplication tables and spelling and grammar and civics. Now, we don't teach civics anymore, but they practice a lot of stuff in school. And so it's important. That's how they develop a skill set. So we have to do the same thing for our dog. If we don't teach our dog how to behave and how to hide behind a boundary or stay behind a boundary, it's not reasonable for us to ask them to behave the way we want if we haven't taught them how we want them to behave. So what I want you guys to do is when you come over is simulate, do a snack like this. Now, he's fast, so you might put 2 chairs here. And after a while, then you move one of those chairs and you'll have 1 chair. And then eventually you have maybe something smaller. And eventually you have the original gap, but he says, I'm not allowed to go on there when they're eating food. We have another little entry room over here. I would do the same sort of thing. So maybe he's not allowed to cross from the work island to the wall when we're hanging out in here if he's unruly behavior. So now he came over and he tried, I'm going to move a little bit further back. I'm going to move out of the way and see if he tries to come in. In this direction. Cough when he starts walking here. Okay. So maybe kind of drop the roll a little bit. Make a sound with the roll. Just put them together.
Hey, just sitting there.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. So remember, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hiss 1 time before he breaks the boundary. If he's running, I would hiss he's 3 feet away. If he's walking, I would hiss he's 1 feet away. If I even look at him, that's rewarded. So I'm just going to ignore it. So second thing I'm going to do is march deliberately at him until he crosses this line. And if I march at him and he goes here, I go there. You're like a soccer player. You're not going to let the ball pass you. And then once he sits or lays down, I take a step backwards and I pause, facing him. Step backwards, pause. Step backwards, pause. Can I sit with you for a second here, buddy? Mm-hmm. So now if I sit down, I lose the perceived authority. Usually a dog will come to challenge. This is good because for 2 hours, I've been outlasting him. And so he understands with me, David's not going to give up. But with the guardians that I live with, they give up all the time. So I'm going to push them and kill them. And this is he's taking his case to a higher court. Tell this blue shirt guy I'm allowed to go and jump up on the kids and steal their food. That's the rules.
It is like he's talking to you.
He is.
He literally is. He's saying this is unacceptable. The more he practices this, the better at this he'll get. So try to recreate situations and help him practice this so he learns just because I want something doesn't mean I can get it. Well, this here is my buddy Louie, and this is a video on how you can establish invisible boundaries and enforce them with your dog.